fixed. All right. So everybody, hello and good afternoon. See, I'm trying to... Okay, probably it's not going to be the best angle at this point, but I'm starting a little bit late today. I was actually at a doctor's appointment and I was too hungry, so I took my time eating lunch. So forgive me if I'm kind of getting on a little bit behind schedule. Yeah, so basically what I'm going to be showing y'all today is I ended up finishing my art piece, finishing up my painting outside of like my streaming. There was like a few little details and stuff that I wanted to get done, and a lot of times usually when I'm fine-tuning details, it's hard for me to a lot of times to talk and just kind of paint and get everything squared away at the same time. So for right now, I'm just going to do, today's going to be a little bit of a story time / like art piece demonstration. So as you can kind of see, this one is my latest painting. And I'll kind of explain a little bit more before I get into this, because I'm still kind of getting a little bit squared away. This one, there was a last week, I didn't get to, there was a lot of disruption last week. I need to silence my phone a little bit better and get everything squared away so I won't be having any more like technical disruptions. But yeah, last week I was in a very much in a hurry. My husband and I had to go out of town like really suddenly. It was just like a last minute emergency thing we had to get done last week, so I had to leave right away. So I didn't really get to talk too much about like my painting because I was intending to do it since last week. But so we're here now, so better late than never. So my painting, I'm going to see if I can kind of get it a little bit closer to the camera so you can kind of see. So this is just so you can get a little bit of details. And usually when I paint at night, it's a lot of times, that's why haven't really been too keen on doing live streams in the evening, because for me personally, it's a little bit harder to kind of see and color match in my studio, get the lighting and everything right with my paint. So usually, because I would like to work under natural lighting. But yeah, as you can kind of see, this the size of my painting is an 11 by 14. So you can, and as I'm holding it up, so you can kind of see the size of it up close, so you can see how big I usually work. I usually don't work with too big of a canvas. That's just my own personal preference. I might later work with a larger canvas. Just later on, is mainly as an experiment. I'll see. Like, because I know a lot of times painters, visual artists will work with very large canvases, work in a very large mixed media pieces, and I usually don't. My largest piece that I'll work with is usually 16 by 20, but 11 by 14 is usually one of the ones that I work with. All right, so you can kind of see there's like, is the painting itself, it's pretty minimal, but you can kind of see like a little bit of a grungy mix with my painting with the background here. And on the side here, you may be able to see it, might not. There's some little bit of blue electricity going on here. And the main person here, the main character, she is a mixture. It's a combination. I kind of made her into a hybrid. She's a little bit of a combination between a human-esque figure and an android or an automaton, depending on the different style and genre that people like to refer to them as. Automaton have a little bit more in the steampunk realm. It's more with gears and different like brass, silver, kind of metallic-y looking sheens. And I'll kind of close in a little bit so you can kind of see. There's like an empty space. This is where her heart is going to be, or where her heart is supposed to be. And you see like a little bit of inner working gears in the black hole of where empty spot. And here, there's different lines here that are kind of traveling, different black lines that are traveling. They're supposed to represent like different wires or cables that's sustaining her, that's keeping her alive. And her heart is suspended outside of her chest right here. So there's actually some different electricity that's actually pumping the heart. You can go on and you can kind of see here, it trails back over here, and there's a boom box. And this I kind of just added just as to kind of give it like a little bit of a, sort of just to signify music in some form or another. I'm kind of adding on different timepieces with it. So as you can kind of see, she's just like kind of slumped in a chair. I'll kind of put it back here. Everything was pretty minimal. I just, my main focus was really to focus on the figure herself and the heart here. You can kind of see if you look closely, there's electricity that's trailing. And this is actually a, I keep forgetting what they're called, but you know the bags, the saline bag solutions that where they'll have the IVs hooked up in hospitals. This is what it's a representation of, is one of those saline bag lines. But instead of the saline bag here, it's supposed to kind of give the shape of a saline bag, but it actually, in actuality, it's actually a cell phone. The cell phone here is, you can see it's glowing blue, so it's on, fully charged, and electricity from the cell phone, from the internet, which is making it run, is electricity from the cell phone is running too. And what's supercharging the heart, and it's going here to the, making the gears in the heart here, and the whole open gaping hole to make the gears move. In other words, that's what's making, instead of necessarily blood that would be running through the heart, it's electricity. Electricity is going here. So I'll kind of, and my title, the title behind my painting is actually Electric Sustenance. And Electric Sustenance is the title that I came up with. So what it's actually meant, and I'll kind of go a little bit more in detail here. I'll put my painting back here. All right. So I'm going to kind of just angle my face down here a little bit. Okay. So what the whole point of the painting, so you can kind of see, you already kind of gave it a little good thing. So the story behind my painting is meant to show a bit of half of an automaton and half human figure being sustained by a boombox. So you can kind of see in that, and I'll kind of turn it back around so you all can see again. So, like I said, it's a half automaton, half figure. So her life force, what is helping her, what's giving her life in general, is both the boombox, which is representing music, and of course the cell phone, which is representing like social media or social sustenance. What really brings life to our person. Hello, Mir, welcome. Yes, right now I'm kind of just giving like a little bit of a shot of my finished painting. So this is just my painting. I've been working on it off and on actually since I was really in a hurry last week. I ended up finishing on my free time when I had a chance. So basically I was going over like the story behind my piece. Actually, you're just in time for it. So the story behind it shows like half an automaton and half a human figure. And what it is, the heart is suspended. Her heart is suspended by a wire. And you can kind of see here, there's like the black lines are the kind of representing the different wires. And this here, I keep forgetting what they're called because I don't remember the actual medical term for it, but the cables, the wires that have, that are usually holding up by saline solution, they usually have like the IVs. They support and control the IVs, and then they have the saline solution. So But instead of a saline solution, the saline solution in this case would be, thank you so much. And the saline solution here is actually the cell phone. The cell phone it's glowing blue to show like the electricity. You can see the electricity kind of running. I don't know if you can, kind of in the lighting, it's a little hard to see. But here, you can kind of see with the background, and the electricity is running through the heart and running through the open hole in the person's chest. And it's run by gears. So the only thing technically that's keeping her alive is just the electricity itself. Her body is not necessarily run by blood or blood vessels. It's run necessarily by gears. So the only human-esque part of her features is just the heart, the face. You can kind of just see, of course, in the arms and the hands a little bit. But itself, the body itself, yeah, kind of like an IV. Her IVs itself are just like kind of like the black lines here, the black wires, electrical wires that are run by electricity. So her heart is suspended by a wire outside of her body with gears turning in the gaping hole in her chest. Electricity is running through the electric wires, which are the only things giving her life, which is a giveaway to her vacant expression. So I kind of purposely left her face kind of just with either like kind of like a coy, vacantless, lifeless look. That's why her eyes are kind of just there, blank. So, in other words, pretty much the story behind it is, so when the only thing that sustains us spiritually, physically, and emotionally does not possess emotions or a heart of its own, what is left by a vacant shell? We are no longer human, but just as mechanical as the devices we possess and obsess over. Our idols, leaving God out of the picture. So in other words, it's kind of just, this is just kind of my own picture, my own view of how I see as far as like how we are as a society right now. It's like whatever those, especially when it comes to electronics, and there's nothing wrong with it, but a lot of times when our whole identity revolves, it's supposed to represent like a physical representation of when our whole identity revolves around electronic devices or just in general. When those are taken away, what happens? What is left for us? When when our whole life is on the phone or on a computer, whether it's like for friends or just entertainment in general, and then when we take that away, whether it's like to detox for a weekend or whatever the case, or when you just don't have access to it and there's nothing else, you kind of just twiddle your thumbs. Like, a lot of times it can leave us just empty. And from a psychological setting, that's why a lot of times people are very depressed and anxiety sets in and so on and so forth. And I can kind of go on and on, but that's pretty much like my story behind it. It gives like a little representation of it. But yeah, like, and that's like the story behind it. That's the reason why I have like everything set up in this way. Why that everything is kind of minimal, kind of grungy. And there's the boombox in the corner. Charlie Chaplin. I don't think I'm familiar with that. Well, let's see. Charlie Chaplin from The Great Dictators. Huh. I don't know if I'm... Oh, a Charlie Chaplin speech. Huh. I'll have to look that up. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with that. But yeah, this, my painting itself, it's like an 11 by 14. So it's not too big. I usually generally don't work with very large canvases. I might later. But yeah, later I'm going to put this up in my shop. I'm going to put it up in my shop later, because I already have this painting for sale, and I'm going to later on, once I get everything, all my photos and everything squared away, I'm going to most likely get some prints, create some prints for this too. So there'll be, of course, my original painting and then my prints. But yeah, that's pretty much like this, like I said, the story kind of behind my piece. And right now, it was going to be kind of like a combination of like my little story time. And then I'm actually going to work on a commission right now too. So you can kind of see my creative process when I sketch things out too. I have a commission painting to create a watercolor painting of Levi Ackerman. I think that's his name. I have not seen Attack on Titan in such a long time. But that's going to be another one. Let's see, I'm going to switch my camera around here in just a second. And that's just kind of my canvas that right now that I'm working on. It's a little bit of a mess right now. Let's see. Okay, so right now I'm just gonna kind of switch it around since now we have that. Which is your favorite comedian? Okay, so right now I'm kind of like, once I have that, I was going to do like a combination because I'm kind of playing catch up today a little bit. If you kind of hear some electronic music in the background, it's actually music that my husband composed. He does like a mixture of electronic and classical. He'll do instrumental. Yes. You'll kind of see kind of like my sketching style a little bit. Yeah, and this sketch pad, this one I made myself. I make a lot of my little sketch pads that I have, I make them. Actually, I can do like a little bit of a sketchbook, little see-through so you can kind of see. Might not be able to, well, maybe. This is kind of just like my charcoal style that I usually work with sometimes. Yeah. Let me see. I do like quick sketches of people sometimes when I'm out. Bo Burnham. Yeah. These are just like a few little charcoal sketches. Let's see. Don't know about them. I do a lot of like line work. Let's see. Via the way of songs, poems, and jokes. Huh. That sounds really cool. I like it. Oh, this is just kind of, I was testing out colors here. Let's see if I have it. This one I was trying to draw a dinosaur. I was in a Jurassic Park mood for a while. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright, so I'll kind of go ahead and get started with this. Let's see. I have not drawn anime in such a long time. Let's see. Songs are truly depressing. Huh. Let's see. Right now, I kind of just flesh out. I usually draw basic shapes first. This is usually how I start off a lot of, whether it's working with paintings or even just drawings in general. I might have to cut that down a little bit. Especially because right now, especially when it comes to commission drawings, commission paintings, I usually work very deliberately. I kind of slow things down a little bit. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, let me see. Okay. Right now, for a commission piece, client wanted me to make a Christmas present. Yeah, so I'm kind of starting. Apparently, they're starting Christmas, getting Christmas ideas early. We're already past the Christmas in July nitbit, but as everybody's starting early. Question for my who's watching. Oh, okay. Hello to your friend then that's watching as well. Let's see. Okay, takes a little bit. I usually, technically, mechanical pencil, I've actually just recently started kind of working with it a little bit more. I actually, most of the time when I sketch with charcoal. I actually sketch with charcoal most of the time. But this one, usually what I've noticed, what helps a lot, especially working with mechanical pencils, is drawing very lightly. Because I have a hard time, especially if I work with regular pencils, I have a really, really hard time. I have a very heavy hand with regular pencils and with pens. So it's very hard for me sometimes, like if I need to go back and kind of erase something. So actually, the mechanical pencils is a way for me to kind of train myself to work very, very lightly, especially with sketches. Let's see. The only times I've seen her draw is always wooden pencils. Is that a big issue? Probably, but is that a big issue for artists? She feels so defeated. I think, hey Morris. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate the comment. How are you today, Morris? I think what you were to kind of go back to what you were saying, Mir, I think it's well, everybody, like every artist has their own, I guess, their own comfort, whichever medium they feel comfortable with. If they feel comfortable drawing with a regular pencils, then have at it. Mechanical, like I said, for me personally, it just helps me train to have a lighter hand. Like I'll kind of demonstrate. Like if I were to draw, like if I were to do something like this, I have a very, very heavy hand. This one, you can kind of see the lines a little bit better. And I have like a regular pencil here. But a lot of times, usually when I work this way, yeah, this one I tried, like for years, I've always had a very hard time with a very heavy hand. But if I, for example, if I wanted to erase this, it's a little bit harder. Whereas if I have this, it's just, I kind of just do it very, very, very lightly. But like I said, it's just kind of every artist has a personal preference. There's no right or wrong. Of course, depending on like art schools, well, art instructors or art schools might say a little bit differently, but it really, at the end of the day, once you have everything, once you know, you have basics down and everything, at the end of the day, it's whatever the artist feels most comfortable with. If your friend, if she's still, like if she feels comfortable, most comfortable with just a regular traditional pencil, then by all means, have at it. And then from there, if she wants to experiment and try different things, then she can go right ahead too. Yeah, that's why. It's like a lot of times it's just easier, especially if you put a lot of pressure. Sometimes I'll just kind of alternate and use both. Let's see. Yeah, that's kind of it. When it breaks, that's usually what happens. It'll, especially with mechanical pencils, it's just very, very fragile. Yeah, it's just really with mechanical pencils, it's just about just really having a light hand. It took me a bit when I would work with mechanical pencils here and there, it would take me a bit to get used to it. Let's see. Right now I'm just trying to get some basic shapes down, because I have, at this point, I have not, it's been a long time since I've drawn like anime style sketches. Let's see. Vietnam flashback. I was like, was art school really that bad? I've heard a mixture of opinions of art school. Like I know Danielle. Danielle went to art school. After we graduated from UMHB, she went to art school. Animation. I think, yeah, she went for animation classes. And I know she had said that it had some strict moments. Let's see. I'm gonna switch over to like a different. Let's see. Right now I'm kind of switching over to a different pose. I'm kind of in the planning stages right now, just getting everything squared away. Our teacher was awful. He didn't prove or like whatever the students draw. He would break the drawings in their faces. What? Okay, that's oh, that's terrifying. I don't know. Ooh. I've heard of strict art schools. That's a little bit crazy. That's more like an art boot camp. I can understand, like, I can understand having high expectations to an extent, like, especially to push the students to do better, but that's a bit much. That's more traumatizing than anything. Woo! If you didn't like the painting, you would paint the canvas. Oh! Oh my gosh. I think I would twitch in frustration. I don't know. It's kind of, whew. I'm very sorry she had to go through that. That's really rough. Where did she even go to art school is my question. I'm like, because that's really, really crazy. Oh, sleep deprived. Oh my God. That does not sound good whatsoever. Very, very sorry. Like, I went to part of my degree in college. I minored in art, and we had some teachers that would nitpick a little bit, but not to that extent. Not to that extent. That's a new one. I've heard of, like I said, I've heard of some art schools that are very, very strict, but that's one I'm like, geez. That's a bit mind-blowing because I've never heard of any, like, art school that would be that intense. Oh, hey, Morris. Twitching on Twitch, okay. Glad you're here, Morris. How's your day? Really? Whew. Like I said, I'm very, very sorry about her experience. It's not how art is supposed to be, actually. Art is supposed to be very freeing. It sounds a little bit too communistic, if you ask me. I don't know. I'm like, no offense, but the teacher sounded like a dictator. I'm like, I don't know. Your life is sleep deprived. How come? Hectic day at work, Morris? Junior high band, they were intense, yelling and throwing. I think that's every band, though. That's every marching band. Like our band director, and when I was in high school, because I was in band when I was in high school, I was in marching band. And our band director, he would yell at us and follow us with a megaphone. And if we were off step, he'd be right behind us with a megaphone yelling at us to get back in step. Yeah, pretty much. It's like you play the wrong note, not a B, not a C sharp. Yeah, that sounds about right. It's kind of how it was. And college band was no different. No different whatsoever. I don't know, you could probably, in the lighting right now by my window, it's a little bright. I was hoping my cactuses would block out the light a little bit, but they're not working. They're not doing too much of a good job. Oh my gosh, that's rough. 4:30. I'd be crying. I could not be able to, like, get up that early. Movie kick. Movie kick. Val killer documentary. Insomnia. Oh my gosh, yeah. I have a couple of friends that have that. Like, they have a hard time sleeping. Usually a lot of times, like, have you ever tried drinking, like, herbal tea, like lavender tea or something before going to bed? A lot of times that'll help relax. It'll help relax. It's like a natural muscle relax, and it'll actually help kind of bring on more relaxing vibes. And the rest of the day and ours. Specialty classes. Oh, okay. Oh, so this was like at was this, I guess, at the school, the college y'all went to? Dance classes. Oh, cool. Like what kind of dance? Tap dance, salsa class. And Morris, try lavender tea. Try lavender or chamomile. It'll help like alleviate symptoms. I'm in school and with the teacher. Oh my gosh. Couldn't change her schedule or anything? Was he like, or was that professor like the only one that taught that same class? That taught that particular class, so there's no way around that. Oh. Doesn't seem like it. Because usually an art teacher, yeah, you're going to have your expectations. Have your expectations, yes. But you still have to have a sense of compassion for the students. It's usually how it works. I think the only time, and this is because I've been a teacher before. So from a teacher's perspective, the only time it's aggravating, or the only time it would really get on a teacher's nerves, is if like the students just don't care whatsoever. Especially when it comes to art. If they absolutely do not care, it's kind of hard to work with that. And that where I can see it be a little frustrating. And the teacher would kind of maybe get a little bit peeved. But for the most part, if the students are trying, and especially if they want to be there, you have to do everything you can to help them. I'd be like, don't terrify them. That just sounds more, like I say, it just sounds like a boot camp. Sounds about right. Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. It sounds like a communist type of thing. Horrible. Anxiety. Oh, yeah. Yeah, anxiety is not fun. Especially if you have like especially if you're under a lot of high stress at different times, it can be brutal. Folk, jazz, salsa, ballroom dances. Ooh, ballet? Wow, that's awesome. Did you do like performances and all that? Like ballet performances? Or was that just kind of just like a little pastime thing for like exercise or just to keep healthy? Because I think you had said it was like a specialty class. I think of ballet, I think of those like, I think of like the Nutcracker, and I think of like all those really, really beautiful like formal performances. Swan Lake. I think there's other ones, but I don't know off the top of my head. First and only year. No. Oh, it wasn't college. High school? Really? High school had dance classes? Okay, that's really neat. That's really, really neat. Did you go to like a private school, or was this like a religious school or public school? Because I was like, if that's public school, it must have been a very large school to be able to have those type of classes. Fine arts high school? Huh. That is really, really neat. I've heard of, like, in some of the larger cities, in the bigger city areas, I've heard of, like, their specialty high schools. Like, there's some, like, for STEM, like, science, engineer. I've heard of, like, those type of high schools. I didn't know they had one specifically geared to fine arts. That would be really, really neat. Or maybe there's some in our area, like, but I'm just not aware of them. I know, like, when I was in high school, I would have loved have access to something like that, if that were the case. Yeah, they took the COG exam students to jump to college. Wow. So was it one of those preparatory schools? Like the ones that would kind of, they would give you the college credit, and from there it was more of a more in-depth prep to get into college? Like dual credit and stuff like that, or? So, Yaki ended up in college at 14. Okay, that's impressive. That's very impressive. I always said that, I know, like, what I would tell my students too, it's like, if you have the chance to either to jump into college at a young age, do it. They usually, especially nowadays, everybody has a lot, especially the younger students, have a lot more better, more in-depth opportunities than, like, in my time when I went to, when dual credits barely started coming around. Stuff like that. Preparatory schools, like I said, I think that might be fairly, I don't know if it's fairly new, like I said, because I grew up in a rural area. Even when I was a kid. If there was been preparatory schools in my time, I don't know. But if there had been, geez, jumped at the opportunity. That's really good. I'm happy for y'all. It's amazing. Especially if you already know, like you already have that on track, what you want to do. It's great. Amazing opportunity. Or art club before that class. I think that's what I don't know, it's very hard. One thing I can say is don't let, art is very subjective. It's very, not subjective, objective. Return that phrase. It's very objective. It's on the eye of the beholder, especially with art. Even the most talented or the most technical of art instructors are not, they're going to give an opinion only. It's the same thing if you try to get into, for artists, young artists that try to get into the art world. And this is something I've been learning over time too. Because if you try to, like a lot of them, you're going to get critics everywhere. That's the only thing I can say is, like, in the art world, you have to be really, really, like, just be open-minded to both negative and positive critiques that you get. If you let the negative critiques get at you, it's going to eat you up over time, and especially because everybody has different opinions of how art should be. Art is, there's not really any right or wrong of going about it. Everybody gets through it differently. Some have formal training, and it doesn't necessarily, and even formal training. Because even with formal training, especially if you want to do it as a business, a lot of times schools won't teach you that. You have many performances. Made a genocide? Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, that's what, there's a quote. I'm trying to remember. There was a quote that, by Pablo Picasso. I don't remember it verbatim. I don't remember it word for word. But he had said a long time ago that when you learn the rules, you can break them. Once you learn the rules, the technical rules as an artist, that's where once you get the foundation of it, then you can, in a sense, break them. There's, like I said, there's a specific quote for that. I don't remember, but Pablo Picasso had said that. It was one of his famous lines. But usually there's not really, especially in the art realm, there's not really a right or wrong of how you approach it. There's a lot of successful artists that are self-taught. A lot of them that are self-taught, or a lot of them that have gone to art school. It kind of goes both ways. The only thing with art, the only thing is, like I say, in that sense, that's a really sour way to go about it. Well, and especially if she loves it, she should continue. And especially if she's kind of a little bit wary of, like, a little bit of uncertain or a little bit uneasy of doing formal art training. She doesn't have to, like, do, like, a formal art class, I guess, if she doesn't necessarily want to. There's actually, nowadays, there's a lot of resources on YouTube, a lot. And if you want kind of technical, actually, if you go on Skillshare has a lot of, like, professional artists that do instruction, like figure drawing, illustration, or whatever you want to do. And that's really it's a pretty reasonable price. I think it's about $10 a month, and you can take as many classes as you want. And everything is self-paced, so you can kind of go at your own pace. If you want to do, like, a little bit of an hour a day or 30 minutes a day or whatever, whatever you do. And then you get constructive feedback, of course, from peers that are also taking it, or from, like, the instructor. But everything is pretty good. I've taken a few classes on there, mainly business classes. I haven't really, I haven't dabbled too much necessarily on, like, the, like, figurative drawing side. I think I took a photography class. I took a few business classes on there for art business. But it's actually, the Skillshare actually would maybe be a route that she would want to take, especially if she wants to do something more formal. But other than that, it's mainly just experiment with different mediums, practice in your free time. That's really art at that point. That's real. Art in a lot of ways is very experimental. Like, I don't know what kind of art specifically she likes to do. But if she for example, if she likes animation, you can either find classes on Skillshare or look up different art styles, different things that she admires, and she can go from there. Basically, you take a huge exam with knowledge from each grade you passed. Instagram. Wow. Insta graduate. Huh. That's really interesting. Let's see. think that's... Let's see. Oh. Sure. What's the irony of all that? It actually sounds pretty cool. It sounds like whenever there's an irony, it's like, oh no. Washing up. Oh, okay. Thanks, Morris. Right now I'm working on I'm doing some sketches actually for a commission. These are kind of just different. I'm planning out some outlines. So you're actually kind of getting a little bit of a behind the scenes of how I actually start my pieces, especially paintings. I sketch everything out and I plan everything out first. So you're actually in the works of my beginning stages of my painting process. You're just replaying how... You hope you're accurate? Well, thank you so much. I'm glad you think I'm, I guess, wise. I don't perceive myself to be very wise. It's just kind of a lot of my stuff is just mainly based on experiences that I've been through in my life or I've seen amongst friends of mine or family or strangers, acquaintances. I try my best. Very talented in what she does, but she doesn't like to do art. Oh, well, that's sad. Oh, that's very sad, especially if that, like, she feels like it was crushed because of those type of opinions. I think really that's why you don't see a lot of, well, I shouldn't say not a lot, but a lot of times with people, people get discouraged, and that's why I think a lot of young artists get or in a sense, very scared of actually trying to pursue it because of whether it's very, very negative criticism that they might hear, or people just are very rude. I think the only thing I can say too is just like, really the only way a lot of times, especially in the art realm, well, it's anywhere in general, having a thick skin, develop a thick skin is really a must thing. It's just because, like I said, it's like the more if you let people get under your skin, it's just going to eat at you. And a lot of times they'll go on with their life kind of meandering, not really thinking necessarily of the consequences of the voice or the opinions they give. And a lot of times we just have to like really have a thick skin. A lot of times for me personally, it's just like what gets me through things is just my faith in God. That's, for me personally, that's how I've always gotten through things in life, especially hard times. And whether it's critiques like this, At the end of the day, it's just it's up to you entirely. It's like you're gonna don't let somebody crush your dreams because of that. I really hope she kind of decides to get back into it. Especially if she enjoys it and if she's very, very talented at it. It's very sad to kind of just let that go under the rug. Drawing, making designs, and more is just work. Ah! That's not good. I'm like, in a sense, yes, especially if you're doing it as a career, but when you love it, it shouldn't. Especially if she enjoyed it so much at that time. If she enjoyed it so much, shouldn't seem so. She just got a bad taste in her mouth, that's all. Okay. Let's see. Modest. Oh, okay. Eh. Okay, I have 2 planned sketches. Let's see. See if I can do like an action shot of sorts. Now I feel like watching Attack on Titan just so I can get like, so I can do like a refresher course of the different action shots they do. It'll take me a bit. This would be kind of a good one. She could only graduate from university, put on hold or something. She made a little business to pay her tuition, but when they told her she wouldn't have to pay again, she had to change university a year before graduating from her major. To go to a beauty college and study there. I guess the scholarship wasn't on hold. To be a tattoo artist. Oh, okay. Is that what she does now? Or is that what she, like, got her degree in? And she is now she's a tattoo artist who had to cancel all her points until the pandemic ends. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the pandemic's put a damper on things, on so many things. And especially with being a tattoo, with like tattoo art, I don't know too much about that genre too much, that medium too much. But you have to be really, really have a steady hand and be very skilled for something, especially dealing with that. That in itself I would see as high stress. That's number 2. Yeah. She hadn't had a bad teeth. She got the full, let me see, the full meal of traumatic verbal emotional abuse from the teacher. Seems like it. That seems more like emotional and verbal abuse, honestly. And usually any type of verbal abuse can have a lasting effect. Not only her that... Let's see. Whole art class stopped doing art entirely. Oh! You didn't nag her to keep drawing, she probably would be the same. Oh my goodness. Well, that's not good. Ooh. I'm like, the whole point of, like, especially with that, like I said, it has to be encouraging. Yes, like, especially if you know, like I say, there's a difference between having constructive criticism and being rude. Like, again, the teacher, like, if you, as a teacher, if you understand, if you know that the student can do better, yeah, you're going to push him a little. But that's very sad. I'm very sorry to hear that. So there's nothing to take. The art class with her, since it was a collab between dance and art class. One time to not blame her if she decided to quit on the spot. It was horrible. She still hustles. Well, that's good. Oh. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever really experienced... Well, I take it back. I have one teacher I remember in college. I think she, like... That I think one was kind of... I think I had a kind of a rude-ish teacher I remember in college. That I kind of... Maybe I was wrong, but maybe I think I felt in a way she played favorites. And she was a really good teacher. She was. Like, she knew what she was doing. But there was times I'd be like, oh no. I was like, she's like, I'm probably the pain in the butt one. Because I think it was for, I don't remember if it was, I had her for a collage class and for a bookbinding class. And collage, I remember, I think the first time I did collage, I had never done collage. Ever. In my life. And at the first time I took it, I remember the first words, the very first project I had, I didn't know what I was doing. And she's like, who was the minimalist that decided to do this? And, because I didn't know what it was, I just put random shapes on a paper. And I remember that time, she's like, you're gonna have to do it over. Oh my god. Multi-talented equipment because it's a bit heavy. Makes her cautious to apply just the right pressure. Ugh. Oh. Yeah, that would kind of probably make me like, oh. I don't know, necessarily make me nervous, but I would just like, that's a lot, a lot. A practice tattoo. Huh. Like what kind of what kind of styles of art or inspires in the tattooing does she do? Is there like a specific style that she does, or are there like different kinds? Yeah, simple, a lot of simplistic styles, like when they're simple and pretty, I always think those are kind of some of the most beautiful ones. And I'm just the fake skin. I was about to say, I've always wondered what they practiced on. I've always wondered, like, what kind of, like, because obviously they can't do it on, at least I don't know. I don't know. Like, I would imagine they can't exactly do it on real people first when they're learning. I always wondered what kind of canvases in place of human skin that they practiced on. Talk to her about you. Okay.